Hey guys, welcome back to Each Watch.
There you go.
Nicky Donald.
And who's drunk?
Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I'm Mike, he's Jay, he's Blake. I said, God damn! This is the Civil War spoiler review. We're gonna let it all hang out.
So if you haven't seen the movie and you haven't seen the non-spoiler rate, click the fuck away from YouTube. Do not be on this channel right now.
Maybe you're lazy and you just want to know what happens.
Sometimes I do that.
We goes to tell you.
Yeah.
We goes to tell you.
The big word on the screen, there's just spoilers. Why the fuck did you click that?
Can't you read, motherfucker?
So here's the
No way.
here's the big spoiler. Spider-Man's a woman. I lied.
And so am I.
Yeah.
The movie starts out, and it starts out with this badass, it feels like the starts of Winter Soldier, espionage, more like grounded fucking action scene, where Crossbones come out, and he's pissed because his face is burnt, and he sounds fucking kind of weird, but Frank Grillo's still a fucking badass, right? And you've got this badass fucking action sequence where Cap and Scarlet Witch and Falcon and Scarlet Witch and Black Widow are all working together.
Right.
First off, that fucking scene with Black Widow, I want to see a Black Widow movie.
Yes!
I do want to see that shit. That scene where she's fighting on top of that tank with fucking Crossbones is so sick and badass,
And
man.
you know,
It's sexy, but it's action, but it's sexy.
And while we're on that topic, let's talk about Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch. So much more than we saw in Age of Ultron. Can I get a fastball special? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we can.
I was so excited to see that.
She worked
I was so happy to see that.
Yeah.
She must work out.
Like you said, where this big action sequence with the Crossbones, turns out, after him and Cap go at it for a while, which some great grounded action there.
People got fucked up.
Oh yeah,
They
but guess what? He's got a suicide bomb.
It blows up a building, and it's weird because it's just one building, but you can see all their faces like, oh fuck, kids died.
fucked up.
And that's what really sets the moments into pivotal action.
What would have helped her is if she had called on the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen powers, because they have a clothing line that's really wonderful. Crossbones is a very awesome character in the Captain America comic books, and it kind of feels like they didn't use him in the way that they should have used him. It's like
It'd have been alright had he not fucking died.
yeah, that's right.
Like,
Like suicide bomb.
Oh yeah, another spoiler. Yeah, guess what? He dies.
Motherfucker dead.
Yeah. Falcon was really cool in the first sequence. They brought in Red Wing, which is a little drone now, instead of the actual bird. And they made a couple of good jokes about that, about how Black Widow doesn't want to refer to it by its name. He's like, his name's Red Wing. It gets real serious.
I'm not calling your
So
penis
it's-
by your penis pet name.
Right, yeah. I'm
No.
not calling
Would you
it
call
Mr.
your dick Red
Charles.
Wing though?
I try to call it
Yeah, that one was what I
Thunderstrike
call.
4.0.
You did say something about Thunder earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, I call my dick Thunderstrike 4.0.
That's fine.
Anyway, so the Sokovia
Only
Accords.
those who are worthy can pick it up.
I appreciate that. Dude. Top.
I'm trying to, let's
go ahead.
top dick talk. That's great.
I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish.
He gonna let you finish.
But
I'm gonna put some dick.
that's how that comes later.
Go.
So that's how we get to the Sokovia Accords. We bring in General Thunderbolt Ross.
Surprisingly, Tony Stark teams up with the government, and that's what brings the Wachovia
Well,
Act,
you
or
know
whatever the
what?
fuck it's called,
I-
into play. It's the ultimate conundrum fuck, because you would think Steve Rogers would be on the side of the government. You would think Tony Stark would be against it, but it's the other side of the fence, as you knew before the movie started anyway. So yeah, they formed their team. Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow is kind of in between, and eventually she jumps sides, and Tony Stark says to her what any guy would say to a girl, be like, you've been playing both sides anyway.
But you know
bitch.
what?
You're used to
But
that
you know
shit."
what? Steve Rogers at that point, he's got to be fucking feeling good, because that'd be like two guys fighting over one girl. I'm like, I'm gonna go to his. I'm like, fuck yeah.
And then we have the scene at the UN when they're signing the Accords. We introduce Black Panther, who's played amazingly by Chadwick Boseman. And then we have an attack at the UN. King T'Chaka of Wakanda is killed in that whole process, which sets Black Panther in motion and his idea, which is where he eventually joins sides with Iron Man. We kind of come into that halfway through. It's a pretty good introduction. I think he's played really well, but it looks as though Bucky did this attack, and so that's kind of what sets us forward here. There, after Bucky is the main thing.
Yeah.
And once we get to the point where Steve and his band of merry followers kind of go rogue.
Is he Robin Hood?
In a way, yeah.
I guess he is. Yeah.
And so, in a way, Tony, feeling for him, basically says to General Ross, or actually the Secretary of Defense at this point, let us bring him in here. Give me 72 hours to bring him in, of which they give him 36.
There's one pivotal moment in the movie, like I think that sums up Captain America's stance. He's like, what if we do sign this and they send us to a place that we don't want to go?
And I agree with that.
Or what if they send us to a place that we shouldn't go to? We have no control over what the fucking government says. Hey, go over there and fuck shit up and kill whatever, kill villagers, kill innocents, because we need that to happen, because this might happen later on in the political future.
What really sets him into stone is the fact that Agent Carter dies. She finally dies, and he goes to her funeral, and there's a monologue.
About time!
God damn! There's a monologue
I
at her.
love Peggy.
She's like, if someone told her to move, she said, no, I'm going to stand right here. And he hears that, and that really sinks it into it. And by the way, it's kind of weird. Let's just throw this out there right now, that his neighbor in Winter Soldier, the hot chick with the laundry, that whole situation, she's there, and like, right after, like he was with Agent Carter, and then she dies, and then like 20 minutes later, he sees her in a parking lot, and he's like, let me get that kiss.
He did that he did the fucking Mac Daddy fucking kiss too. Like when she was like waiting, she was like, fucking boom. Like, there was no like preamble.
It's funny
to it.
as fuck because it's like Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused. It's like year after year, I just keep sitting here and they just keep rolling.
But really, the end of the plot, the end of the result of the film is Bucky's framed. Okay, so Bucky at this point in the film, at this point in this particular movie, he's done. Like, you know, after Winter Soldier, he's gone off the grid. He's not doing what he used to be doing anymore. But they frame his ass to make it look like he was the one that attacked the council.
Perfect segue into the problem of the movie. And you guys have seen this full overview, so you guys know the legit plot or whatever what's going on. But perfect segue into what's wrong with this movie is Baron von Zemo, right? Is that how you say that shit? Sounds like Zemo.
But he's not even Baron von Zemo. It's Helmet Zemo.
Yeah.
So it's
make way for Dark Helmet.
Perfect fucking issue with the movie is his whole plot in here is he wants to force the Avengers to fight each other because he realizes I can't take them on head to head, but if they fight each other, they'll blow up and blah 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 blah. The point is his whole character could have been taken completely out of the movie, and that's one of the small problems of the movie, because what ultimately happens is, and we'll go back, what ultimately happens is that Winter Soldier on one of his missions is the one who killed Tony Stark's parents.
Yeah, and he
But you could have sent the motherfucker an email.
Right. You could have sent a zip file to Tony Stark and be like, he's got computers on his goddamn arm. He can be like, oh shit, well, you know, he killed my fucking
The problem that I find with that is that, again, like you say, Zemo he's a throwaway character at this point.
Yeah.
If that's his issue, they rewrote him to where he was had something to do with the government in Sokovia, his family got killed, and the Avengers just went away, so he's pissed off at them. The problem is, his end result, his plan is he wants the Avengers to fight each other and destroy them from within.
Yeah.
Well, that shit's already happening before we ever get to that point.
True.
They're already fighting each other. They've already had the one big fight sequence at the airport. By the time they get to this point, by the time Tony finds out that Bucky is the one who actually killed Howard Stark, it's way past all that. It's in the last few minutes of the movie.
It just conveniently works out that they just made up.
Yeah, why could you could have gotten rid of that. We didn't need Helmet Zemo. This movie was Civil War. You paid your money to go watch this to see Captain America and Iron Man butt heads. You already got that.
Baron von Zemo, where the fuck his name is, could have just uploaded that shit to YouTube and tagged fucking Tony Stark in it. Problem solved. You don't have to lead him to the secret bunker in the middle of fucking nowhere and go through all this hoo-hoo.
Don't insult Baron Von, because Baron von Zemo would have been awesome. This is a fucking like puss version of Zemo. You know, Captain America's trying to explain to him, he's like, look bro, I know that happened and I know it's bad, but that's not Bucky. He didn't do that on purpose. It was Control Hydra. And he's like, did you know? Like that scene, that's emotional. That's
that was dark and
I like that.
And the fact where he says, fuck you, he killed my mom.
Right.
And then that scene, it reminded me actually of Man of Steel when he's like, don't touch my mother!
Yeah.
It was the same thing, and that was good.
The only thing I didn't like about that, the only thing I didn't like about that,
why'd you say that name?
the only thing that was uncharacteristic of Iron Man, there was a couple scenes, but this specific scene, when he looks like a petulant little bitch child. He's like beaten up, and he's like backing away from on the column. He's like, you don't deserve to wear that shield. Drop it. And the captain's like, I thought I want to play your fucking ball anyway.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
It's like a kid on the ball court getting his ass kicked, and they're like, you can't play. And he's like, that's my ball. My dad bought it.
It's my mic set, and I'm taking it. It's like,
did get his ass kicked.
Yeah, he did.
He had two of the biggest badasses in the Marvel U fucking beat the shit out of him, with both of them taking turns with a metal arm.
So
and
your
shield.
response to that is like,
So, no,
drop that my daddy made.
I get it, though. Yeah.
It's true. I get it.
I felt like
But before, we're going way too fast.
I know.
We're going
way too fast.
Let's go back.
There's only, I
was saving the
I gotta squeeze my butt cheeks and hold it.
Baseball.
We're going way too fast. Think about baseball.
That's yoga.
Think about your parents dying. Sometimes you gotta go dark.
Don't do that. No, I don't want to do that.
Why'd you say that name? No. But no, let's go back to the tarmac, alright? We can skip a bunch of shit, but we can't forget the tarmac. The tarmac scene, holy fuck. Paul Rudd shows up.
There it is.
Oh, right, one more before we get to the tarmac.
No, we can't.
Before we get to the tarmac.
We're already there,
Peter
Blake.
fucking Parker.
BTT?
He was
before the tarmac?
Before the tarmac. We're on BTT.
I thought you said
What
BBC.
leads into that? So we brought in Spider-Man.
No.
The Spider Dick has shown up. It's amazing.
That scene.
That scene.
That doesn't matter at all.
Sorry.
I know.
One of the best scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah, there is
young Peter Parker walking into his little apartment there, and suddenly there's Tony fucking Stark eating a fucking meatloaf with his Aunt May or whatever. Hottest balls of Tony.
Yeah.
You know he tagged that shit. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that Civil War Part 2 is like, you fucked my aunt.
Yeah.
You know he did.
There's a great scene between them because Tony's been watching him and he recruits him to fight on his side. And then we get to the tarmac.
Okay, but Tom Holland's characterization of that whole specific scene.
Awkward high five.
I love your steak. I like your segue there.
I like your steak, too.
Your steak. Cheeks. Tom Holland's and that whole thing, that was great. I love Robert Downey Jr.'s interaction with him. And May is fucking hot. Yes, you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
But she's actually, I think that it's not that she
keeps
hot.
getting younger and younger.
Yeah, but it's not that.
And Uncle Ben keeps fucking dying.
Yeah.
Can that motherfucker just not stay alive for a minute?
Was he? I like to think that in this movie, Uncle Ben was Mickey Rourke and the wrestler.
You know, Captain America goes out and recruits Iron Man or Ant-Man and does his own thing. He's like, "Do you have someone?" He's like, "Yeah, I have somebody in mind." That's how he meets Tom Holland. Like, he's already been keeping a watch on him. He's already been like having video footage of him catching a fucking car and setting it down. So he shows up to his apartment and he recruits him in. And that came to an interesting point that Mike and I were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Ethically, Tony Stark recruits a child, like a 16-year-old boy or a 15-year-old boy, to fight fucking Captain America, right? So it's a kid soldier.
And he verbally says that he's only had his powers for about 6 months at this point.
Right.
So he's been just roughing up idiots on the sidewalk and shit like that for about 6 months, and then you're gonna throw him immediately into fighting Captain America.
He did tell him to stay away.
He did tell him.
After that, though.
Stay back, whip him up, whatever. Obviously that doesn't happen. We've seen the commercials by now that show him involved. But yeah, so we get to that point. We've got Cyber's aside. Before that, right before that happens there, when Captain America's recruiting his people, they show up in a van with, like, unconscious
Paul Rudd.
Let me say this real quick, though, about Tom Holland as Spider-Man, like the precursor to the tarmac. I goddamn want to get that tarmac.
Get it, man.
I want to get that fucking tarmac so bad. I need the tarmac.
Squeeze the juice.
Fuck.
But
when he goes in there, I like way better than the Spider-Man version of Tom Holland. I like Tom Holland as Peter Parker way better.
Yeah,
when Tony Stark's in his house and he's like, holy shit, did you bang my aunt? And they're in the room together or whatever. That scene, Tom Holland as Peter Parker completely overshadowed Tom Holland as Spider-Man to me. And now we get to the tarmac.
God damn it, the tarmac.
Now we go get some motherfucking tarmac. Van pulls up in a garage, and inside of that van is fucking passed out Paul Rudd, and I feel so bad for Paul Rudd as Ant-Man in this movie because he doesn't even get to choose a side. He's just like, they want my help, and he shows up to whoever fucking calls him, and they're like, hey, if you do this, we play for keeps.
Yeah,
he's like, okay.
That's funny. Is like Captain America's like, if you do this, you're a wanted man. He was like, that's what else.
Captain America wants me.
That's new. That's not new. So cool.
But he's got total fanboy mode. He's turning over. He's like, oh, hey, I know you. You're awesome.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
Paul Rudd's he's the best comedy in the movie.
Oh yeah, he's the comedy relief with Paul Rudd's amazing. and the thing is, it never stops with him. Like when we talked about earlier in the non-spoiler review that the comedy is blended so well in the action, it really does. It shows so much off of Tom Holland and Paul Rudd, even Jeremy Renner in a way, because Jeremy Renner is at this point, he's just like, fuck it, I came out of retirement, because Captain America recruits Hawkeye, he's in retirement, he's doing golfing. There's one specific scene where Tony Stark's like, I thought you were doing golf. He's like, I did 18 holes, I never missed. And then he like shoots the arrow, and he's like, bullseye. He's like, they're the first time for everything. He's like, that was a distraction, bitch. So, boom.
And I want to say, this was we disagreed on this because you thought it kind of melted in a little bit, but I thought, for me personally, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, this was my favorite variation of him because he comes back, he doesn't give a shit about fucking anybody. He's the perfect, I don't care, fuck you. I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna take Scarlet Witch out because even though he's a nice guy,
super guy.
What's his Magic Vision is holding Scarlet Witch hostage or whatever. But anyways, I like this version of Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye better than any of them because he's cold and ruthless. Like, he's in this friendly conversation with Iron Man in the middle of it. He's like, but fuck you. What I was thinking too, also, when we're going through all this shit, by the way, I know this is an awkward segue, but we're going through all this shit about, because the whole issue is, well, Bucky doesn't remember it wasn't his fault he was brainwashed, right? But some people can't forgive him for that.
Right.
What about all the people Hawkeye killed because he was brainwashed? All the citizens that he did for Loki, and everybody just forgot that with no big problem. That's a tiny plot hole. I'm sorry, it is.
Hey, guess what, guys? Giant Man showed up.
That's the big deal.
That's a big turn in the toilet right there.
Fuck it, that was the holy shit moment of the whole fucking movie.
It was amazing because Paul Rudd, he's tiny as Ant-Man. and they're trying to get away. Captain Bucky are trying to leave, like, we need a distraction. And he goes, well, I got a big distraction. It might rip me in half, but, you know, let's try it.
Yeah, he's like running through. He's like, one time I did this in the lab and I passed out, but oh well, here we go. And he becomes fucking giant, and then he's laughing maniacally like the Wizard of Oz, like this deep. He he's fucking shit up.
Best moment of the movie, right? I mean, for me, it's the best moment of the movie.
When War Machine is trying to fly away and he grabs him and he's a little like, it's like, this is gonna hurt. And he's like, he's stomping on people. He's literally, he's in comparison, he's probably about what, 40 or 50 feet tall.
Yeah, I'd say he's like a skyscraper.
But then also, Paul Rudd brought almost in his tiny role, brought the, and that's ironic. Brought the best fucking moments of the movie. Like when he hands Captain America a shield, he's like, "Here's your shield, Captain America."
Yeah, he doesn't say it, but there's no preamble to it. He's like, Captain America, your shield. Everybody else is calling him Captain Rogers.
He's so psyched just to be there. He doesn't give a shit.
That like Paul Rudd. Oh God, you know, some people are gonna say Tom Holland is the one that stole the show. Like Tom Holland and the Spider-Man introduction and how he was amazing. There's no doubt. Yeah. Especially when he says, "Oh shit," and he becomes Giant Man. It's like, Jesus Christ, Spider-Man's like shit.
Stole the show from me.
But Paul Rudd to me, and not just that, when he like walks, like when he like gets inside of Iron Man suits after, you know, you see the trailer, he's like running around, he's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna fucking suit up from the inside, and he's like running his mouth, and Tony Stark's like, who's talking? He's like, it's me.
So like Captain America throws his shield off of like 4 or 5 things and hits Spider-Man. He's like, there's no scientific reason behind that piece.
Yeah, it's just random. You got skill, bro.
Spider-Man fits so good in with everybody, and like we were talking about, there's that perfect Spider-Man moment where, and I gotta be honest with you, I thought Spider-Man looked, there was something, like a lot of people say, that's the best Spider-Man, automatically, that's the best Spider-Man, it's the best version of it. I'm not quite there yet. I love Tom Holland as Peter Parker, and I love the way Spider-Man did everything and how he kept talking. Well, my problem is that, I think it was, I don't know if it was the CG mixed with Iron Man. Iron Man didn't look right.
He did not look right.
His armor looked CG standing next to Spider-Man. It looked strange, and there's something a bit off about it, but I still love the Spider-Man.
When Iron Man had his mask off and he was walking around and talking to Rogers and Bucky, it looked fucking weird. Like it looked like he was walking and it was CG'd on his shoulder. Like you know, there was earlier Iron Man films like he was actually, it was practical effects. Like he was in the suit and he was walking around. This looked too CG. And I know, I thought maybe it's because they have to cut. There's so many great action sequences in this film. They have to cut from one, you know, standing sequence where they're talking, and then boom, right away the mask comes down. We're fighting again. Yeah, it happened so quickly. So maybe that's why they just kept the CG.
I think a lot of that went with Spider-Man as well during those scenes. Yeah. But what I was happy about, something a lot of people complained about early on, was the eyes. How they were kind of animated, kind of like they worked it with Deadpool. It was a little bit. It was the same way in this. It wasn't much, but it was noticeable. You saw some emotion in him the way he was talking. But like you said, when he's talking and cutting up the entire time, there's actually a part where he's fighting against the Falcon, and he says to him, Falcon says to Spider-Man, he's like, I don't know if you've ever been in a fight before or not, but there's usually not this much talking.
See,
that was the best Spider-Man moment.
I love the scene where he's like, actually, I like the scene where Spider-Man's wrapping the web around Giant Man. You guys ever seen Star Wars when they were in the Empire Strikes Back? And he's like, how old is this kid? Like, that's what War Machine says on the radio. He's like, I don't know, I didn't carbon date this kid.
And you made a good point about that too. They could say that shit because Disney owns the world.
Disney owns the world. Star Wars. So that's how they end up taking it.
Segue to one of my small problems with the movie is that the fact that Disney owns this movie. A lot of people want to compare it to Batman vs Superman and all that shit. We're not going to get into it, but the problem with this movie, one of the small problems, that I fucking love this movie, is the fact that ultimately, let's just say it, it's a spoiler review, reminder, nobody fucking dies. They didn't ultimately, I mean, with all the shit going on, they really just ultimately at the end of the day kind of lacked the balls to really kill anybody else.
Marvel just didn't have the balls to pull the gun. You know, at some point you got to say, there are stakes involved. There is something that when you leave the theater, it's called Captain America Civil fucking War. There has to be something that when you leave the theater, like something major happened, something traumatic happened. There are stakes involved. Somebody's got to lose. Somebody's got to go.
I don't want Captain America or Iron Man to die, and I'm really glad that they didn't. But what I fear is, as this movie ends, they say, you know, Captain America says to Tony, he's like, well, this should happen. He's like, if you need me, I'll be here. And you know what's going to happen. My problem is this. One of my small problems is that Infinity War is going to happen, and all that's going to happen is they're going to be like, there's this great threat. We have to team up again, and they're going to be like, hey, I miss you. And then ultimately, that's cool, and I want that to happen. But in my heart of hearts, you have to realize, when that happens, that's going to make Civil War not really mean anything.
Inconsequential.
There's no major consequence that will come from this movie, and they needed to really just be like, we gotta fucking kill somebody.
I kind of disagree a little bit there, because I think that there are going to be dynamic shifts in it because of the relationships that have changed. specifically, if
It's
you
just
look
not
at
enough, man.
no, not enough, not to the level that I wanted it to change, but specifically between Iron Man and Captain America, their philosophies and how they look at the world differently now. They look at the world in a very separate and distant way. Because at the end of the movie, even Captain America himself writes a letter to Iron Man saying he's sorry that he sees it the way that he sees it, but it shouldn't be like this. We are different, and if you ever need me, though, me and my Secret Avengers, he breaks them out of the raft because the guys that side with Captain America, they get put in the raft, which is cool to see that on screen. He breaks them out, and he's like, we have difference of opinions. It's almost like two best friends or two friends that just don't see eye to eye anymore. They just don't see eye to eye. I mean, you went your way in life, and I went my way in life. And now, if something were to happen, though, if some kind of tragedy did happen, I won't like you when I see you again, but I'll work with you to, figure this out.
But you know that they will.
Well,
and they'll have the same chemistry, and it'll be like Civil War never happened, and that's what I don't like.
Right. Side note, what was nice, though, he didn't text him or email him. That's not Captain America.
Yeah, no text.
He handwritten him a letter and sent it through FedEx via Stan Lee.
It was like
Stank.
a hot
Language.
Tony Stank.
Tony Stank.
The best thing. He's like, yes, Stank, table for one.
You're never gonna let me live that down, huh?
Marvel never ever should have announced Spider-Man Homecoming, and they never should have announced that Iron Man was going to be in it, and that Tom Holland wanted Captain America to be in it, because that tells you right there, okay, neither of them fucking died.
Yeah.
So you got the final fight scene right there. Knowing this in your head, it takes out so much tension and so much of the stake, because no one's going to die. They have a movie coming out soon. That was stupid. But they have the fight, and it's cool, because Winter Soldier's going after the fucking reactor, right? Mm-hmm. And you think, holy shit, what's going to happen? And then ultimately, Captain America strikes Iron Man right in the reactor. And I thought for a second, I was like, is that gonna fucking kill him?
No,
shit,
it's
not
hard.
gonna kill him.
Right.
And that was intense.
Well, I'm gonna say my little piece before, because I don't want to attack this movie too much, because I like Mike, I really did love this movie. I think, like I said, it superseded my expectations. It met my expectations, and then superseded in a lot of ways too. Marvel made mistakes early on when they fixed Tony's heart in Iron Man 3. That should have been a no-no, because having Winter Soldier in that climactic scene, if he's grabbing his fucking chest, if his heart had still been dependent on that arc reactor, in that moment, grabbing that fucking chest and twisting it like he did, that could lead him to have a cardiac arrest and actually break him. That would put Captain America in a predicament like, what am I supposed to do? I can't, this is my friend, this is Iron Man, this is Tony Stark.
You gotta kill someone, motherfuckers.
Again, it's a 9.5 for me, because there are emotional sequences in it. There are emotional moments in it. There are great action sequences. There's great humor. There's great cinematography. There's great overall scope of what they were trying to do and leading you into the next phase of MCU. So as far as that goes, yes, it's a 9.5, but there are moments that are lacking. Crossbones, underused. Zemo, underused. Certain emotional impacts that should have been there are not existent. So, but it's still a 9.5. So.
One of the post-credit sequences shows Bucky deciding that until I get all this junk out of my head from Hydra, I probably need to go back under cryo freeze.
Right.
And they do that. So here's my biggest problem, why I had to knock this down a little bit, is half of this movie wouldn't have happened if Bucky had been like, oh man, you know what, I don't do that anymore, but shit, I've already done this much, I'm dangerous, you should probably lock me up, before everybody almost tried to kill each other.
And they had that one tiny moment where Bucky was like, I'm not sure I'm worth this. And then Cap was like, yes, you are. And he was just like, okay.
I think the reason why that didn't happen, though, is because early on in the film they proved that turning yourself in is not the smart thing. You let Helmet fucking Zemo infiltrate your fucking super secret base and read a goddamn Winter Soldier book that turned his ass back to being under Hydra control. Knowing that as Captain America knows his friend, he's like, I cannot trust my country, the people that I've sworn to protect, to be able to take my friend and put them in a guarded facility and know that he's going to get the help he needs. Because it's not going to happen. He is a trained super soldier. There's no way that there's not a government organization, if they know that they can control him with a few words, 0, 18, 500, soldier, ready to go? Like, that's what he does. Like that. Like, if a few fucking words that they can write on the back of their hands, as long as they say those fucking specific words, he's theirs.
Right.
He's theirs.
Yeah.
Applesauce.
And so I don't want to make it sound like the movie doesn't matter or it shouldn't have happened, because it's it is what you want for a summer. I could not stop eating popcorn.
It was great.
Throughout, like the whole fight sequences through there. That's what you want for a summer movie. It was a great experience. I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but when you look back at it in a real standpoint,
Yeah.
half of it could have not happened.
It's got plot
let me
holes
ask
just
you-
like BVS does.
I give it a 9.5 as well. Like I said, I wanted to give it a 10, but I had to cut it back a little bit for some of those things. But I still loved every minute of the experience.
Let me ask you guys a question. Like, this is just straight up. After this movie, because I thought he was phenomenal. I thought, like, definitely, I was kind of on the fence about it, but now I really want to see it. Black Panther, the guy that played him.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing.
There's one specific scene that really sold me on Black Panther. Black Panther was amazing throughout the entire. T'Challa was great. There's one specific scene when he's talking to Zemo and he's on the hillside, and he retracts his claws and he's like, "Vengeance has consumed you. This is what you are. You're gonna, and he's like, I'm not gonna answer to men anymore." It's like, no, men still need you to answer. To me, that was pure Black Panther. Like, that philosophy, but that badassery that he doesn't need to exhibit himself anymore.
And then motherfucker had a bat plane. He was talking about a bat wing and that shit. No, Black Panther was badass. He was great. I forgot to mention that in our other review. He was really great. And actually, at the end of the day, I liked Baron von Zemo's story about his family. I just thought that, like, why did you have to drag him all the way across the country into this little pit to do that? You could have sent him an attachment email on Gmail.
They didn't make him.
The whole thing was pointless. I thought Baron von Zemo should have ripped off that face and been fucking Red Skull, but who am I?
You know what? They could have had that helmet Zemo. Why put the name of Zemo, which is a great character, a villain? Why can't he just be Jackson?
Unnecessary.
Like, I'm just a fucking citizen of Slovakia.
Brian Lewis. But
This movie's
downtown.
awesome.
My favorite superhero movie of all time is The Avengers because I felt like a fucking child pissing his pants, crying. I didn't cry because I'm not weird.
No, it's pure joy.
But yeah, it's pure joy, pissing my pants watching The Avengers. That scene downtown.
Downtown.
But I felt that watching the scene on the tarmac. It was so cool watching Ant-Man. It was like the Winter Soldier director's version of Joss Whedon's Avengers. Great moment. And that was so cool. And there's so many great moments in this that you have to love with all your heart. That being said, a lot of people give Batman vs. Superman a bad rap because of all the plot holes and the story tie-ups. This movie has some of those issues. There are some small issues with it. I don't care. I'm still going to watch it 18 fucking times and I love it. It's a 9 out of 10 for me.
We talked about how much of a monopoly they are and everything.
Yeah.
They killed Han Solo.
Well, no, that was more.
That's because Harrison Ford has his contract.
I'm just saying. Okay?
Sometimes you gotta Game of Thrones that bitch and surprise some motherfucker.
Dude, if they had done a Game of Thrones in this movie,
I don't want them to die, but you have to kill someone.
Because you know why? Because you know why it would be okay? It'd be okay, Mike, because we can talk about it in the dark.
Marvel movies do not feature anal sex.
Sean Bean.
Sometimes you
got a Sean Bean.
No, listen. If they had died, if you had killed War Machine,
and that's a problem too.
If you had killed
more anal sex.
This is why it would have been okay. If you killed War Machine off, or Captain America, or both, Infinity War is coming. There's a time gem,
so
right?
Winter.
Yeah, winter is always coming. You gotta watch that shit.
This is also coming.
But they can. He's coming. I thought your face looked scrunched.
One final thing that I want to say here is going from that tarmac scene, seeing all of our good guys fighting each other.
I'm gay.
Imagine all of that out in the open. All those guys fighting each other out in the open. Imagine here in a couple of years, we get those guys plus Thor, plus the Hulk, plus Star-Lord, and whoever else here, all of them fighting on one side.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
And it's gonna be that much more.
Then again, you know what? All three of us share the love of MCU. We love it. It's. I want to have its baby. But the fact of the matter is, though, I'm also concerned.
You don't have a uterus?
I don't, but I'll figure a way out. I'll figure a way out for you.
I'm sweaty.
I'll figure a way out. I'm just saying, MCU. If they cannot pull the trigger with Civil War, it's a smaller. Scope-wise, amazing. What we got is amazing. Like I said, superseded my expectations. But if they can't pull the trigger to do that, what are they going to do with Infinity War Part 1? What are they going to do with Infinity War Part 2? You're literally talking about Thanos, who worships fucking death. He wants death to win. That's what he loves.
So does my ex-wife.
He wants you to get all up inside of death.
You have an ex-wife?
No. It was the perfect time for that joke. I couldn't tell myself. But I don't know what
I'm just thinking, like, you know what? I just think that I just think it's. I think it's time for MCU, like you said, a little Game of Thrones in your dick. And fucking do something crazy.
Agreed.
Different.
Guys, we love your fucking faces. We watch the movie on Twitter. We watch the movie on Snapchat, Instagram, all that shit below. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some fucking wham up in you.
Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, up.
Are you going up?
More.
Away from me.
I don't know what to do with my hand.
We watched a movie. Yeah. We watched a movie.